Y.E.S Fitness Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. I hope everyone had a very safe and happy new year. Happy New Year to all, and I appreciate you watching me on this holiday afternoon. Today's broadcast is one that I was a little apprehensive about doing. I feel like it might be beating a dead horse, but people still go around and ask, what's your resolutions? What are you going to try to do different? What kind of changes are you going to make? So I thought that I would give you some insight on what my changes are going to try to be for this year and what I hope to be able to improve, or what I see as an improvement in my life, and how I went about coming up with those changes and how I'm going to go about hopefully helping myself be successful with those changes. So the first thing I did was I took a look at 2018. Sat down for a little while and reflected upon the changes that I had hoped to make, and the ones that I was successful at making, and the ones that I were not so successful at making, and deciding whether I wanted to readdress those things. And then I went on to think about what I wanted to really accomplish differently in 2019. So I came up with the overall objective of improving my chances for longevity is the focus in my life. It might not be a focus in yours. It might be something that's on your back burner, but I'm fast approaching the age of 60, and it is something that is on my mind. Retirement's on my mind, spending more time with my family is on my mind, and being able to live longer and be able to enjoy those extra years are certainly something that on my mind, and something that we address in my business every single day. So I broke it down into 5 categories on things that are areas that I'm going to try to make one change to help my chances for improving longevity. And first, the reason why I want to try to make one change in each area is we know and we see from studies that one change at a time helps you be more successful. Somewhere in the 80-85% range, I think, if you try to make one change at a time. If you try to make 2, you go somewhere in the 30s. Once you try to make 3, you're down in single digits. So let's just try to think about making one change. So I'm going to address one change in each area. Second, I'm going to try and do this in a very structured way so that I can keep track and I can show other people like you and someone in my life of the changes I'm going to try to make, so I have some accountability. Accountability is extremely important in helping changing habits. When other people know what you're trying to do and you have to go back to them and report, you seem to be much more successful at doing that. So I am going to literally write down these 5 things or 6 things I think that I'm going to try to attempt to change this year and report to you. I'll probably report to you probably on a monthly basis at the beginning of each month. Anything more than that might be a little bit overkill, but I think I'll try to do this once a month. So the beginning of my February, the first February broadcast, I will give you a little report of how I'm doing, how I'm not doing, and how I'm going to try to change those things. To help me with these changes, I am going to do a couple of things. One, write it down, each change, on a sticky and put them in different places. Probably the first place I'll put it is in the bathroom mirror, so that when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, right away at the beginning of my day, I'll have those things in front of me, so I'll know these are things that I need to try to accomplish today. Might put something on the refrigerator if there's some nutrition based with it. I might have it on the dashboard of my car. Could be it on the wall next to my desk at work. Somewhere, 2 or 3 places where every single day I'll be reminded of these things. I'm also going to, at the beginning of each week, Saturday or Sunday, plan out the week. We know that planning makes us much more successful. I know what my goal is going to be. I need to have a plan on how to succeed with that goal. So we have an outcome goal of living longer. We have to have some action-based goals to try to make that outcome-based goal occur. So each week I'll sit down and take a look at my week to make sure that the things that I want to try to accomplish are be able to happen. Need to be realistic. Am I going to be able to have this happen? So let me start off with the first area, exercise. Everybody thinks because you're a trainer or a coach that exercise is easy for you. You're at the gym all day long. All you need to do is walk out your office door and exercise. But my day is just like anybody else's day. It's busy. I got things going on at work, outside of work. Things come up all the time. So it's not as easy as someone might think. But for me to be able to accomplish this goal of longevity, exercise is a key. So let me back up one more step here, because I did forget to talk about something. Each of the things that I'm going to talk about today address the length of my telomeres. So just to review what a telomere is. The telomere is on the end of each chromosome in your body, in each cell. Every single cell of your body has the DNA and the chromosome on the end. And that chromosome is a little things called telomeres. When you're conceived, you have 15,000 telomeres on the end of each chromosome. Once you're born, you have 10,000. And the things that you do through life affect the length of those telomeres. And science believes right now that that's the best way to see the aging process is the length of your telomeres. So the things that I'm going to talk about and the things that I'm going to do are going to try to either slow the shortening of the telomere or actually lengthen it again a little bit, which is reversing the aging process is what we're all about here. Yes, reversing the aging process, getting younger every second. So exercise is a key to that. Exercise can not only slow it, but some exercise can actually, if done correctly, lengthen those telomeres. So for me, my goal for exercise this year was to make sure that I get some combination of 300 minutes of moderate intensity activity or 150 minutes of intense cardiovascular activity. So 300 minutes is an hour a day, 5 days a week. 150 minutes would be 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, some combination of that. It certainly helps you reduce risk for cardiovascular disease and everything else that exercise does for you, but that's specifically addresses your telomere length. The other area that addresses your telomere length with exercise is strength training. You need to strength train twice a week. I will make sure that I do strength training twice a week. Strength training in a very recent study has been shown to actually reverse the aging process in over 700 different genes, I believe. So strength training is super important. I'm not going to break down the intensities that we're going to work at because it's very important not to work too hard, because that will shorten length of your telomere. It's very important not to work like if you run, to run too fast, to do too much. All that stuff actually reverses the effects of exercise on your telomere length. And the same thing that has to do with strength training. There's very specific programs help to affect your telomere length. Just going and doing bicep curls is not necessarily what's going to help your telomere length. So very specific things, way too much, way too in depth to go into with today's broadcast. Maybe we'll get into it in the future for you a little bit, but that's my goal for exercise will be to do 300 minutes of moderate intensity or 150 minutes of intense exercise and strength training twice a week. My second area that I'm going to address is nutrition. Again, I'm only trying to do one thing at a time. So with nutrition, what happens sometimes is, and this happens to a lot of people at work, we get busy and we don't get time to eat like we're supposed to eat. And when we eat, maybe we're eating something that maybe still be good, but it doesn't address all the different areas that I want to address for longevity. And part of a good nutrition program for longevity is to eat 5 to 7 servings of fruit or vegetables per day. There are times of the day that I will just have nuts for a snack. Well, this year I'm going to make sure that I get 5 to 7 servings of fruits or vegetables per day. So if I have those nuts, I'm going to make sure that I'm having a piece of fruit or some kind of vegetable with it at every single meal. Going to be a challenge. I know it's been a challenge before, but it's super important for my ultimate goal. So I'm going to make that my nutrition goal. And so I go through the year. If I'm very successful with some of this stuff, I might try to address something else. But that's the one thing I'm going to try to change coming out of the gate. stress. We all have stress. We all have different ways of coping with stress. I don't necessarily cope with stress the best. I kind of let it linger on me and it kind of eats away at me. And that kind of stress is not good for you. So I'm going to change my mindset on how I address stress rather than letting it simmer in me for days and on my mind for days. I'm going to look at stress now as a challenge. I'm going to take these stresses on as a challenge and address them and be proactive, and rather than just letting it linger on me. So that is a huge change. And there's a lot of different ways that stress actually affects your telomere length. When you're born, the length of your telomere is determined by your parents. If you're, well, you're in the womb with your mom and she has some kind of catastrophic life event happen, like maybe she lost a parent, God forbid, or lost her job, that type of stress, even though you're still in the womb, is going to affect your telomere length, and how your mom reacted to that stress will affect your telomere length. So stress is a real big thing, and that is something that I'm going to work on for this year as well. As a sort of a second thing with stress is I'm going to go back to taking at least 5 minutes a day, sometime during the day, and just, I'm not going to quite call it meditation. I'm just going to do some deep breathing exercises where I'm just going to go in the other room, find myself 5 minutes of peace and quiet, whether it's before I get into the coaching center or when I leave the coaching center at lunchtime, maybe after dinner, I know before I go to bed. At some point in time, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and just relax, get focused on my breathing, and clear my mind, and that will help reduce some stress. So there's some things that I'm going to try to do. The next area is going to be restoration. So my restoration, my post-workout restoration, and that is already pretty much in place. I'm going to address sleep more diligently. Very important for the body to try to go to bed at the same time and to get up in the morning at the same time, and try to get somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per evening. A lot of studies show under 7 hours affects your telomere length. 6 hours is a disaster. And not to say what has to do with your other health factors and your performance and things like that. So sleep will be a big factor for me. I'm going to make sure that I get 7 hours of sleep, but that could become a challenge for me because right now I've been getting up just about at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:50 in the morning. And let's say, for example, and so I go to bed at 10 to 5, 10 to 6 is 7 or 8 hours of sleep. Next week, one of my coaches is going to go to Florida. That means I'm going to need to get into work an hour earlier. And that's going to cut into my sleep. I'm going to say to get up at 5:50. I'm going to be getting up at 4:50 or 4:45 to make sure that I can get something to eat before I get into work. So 4:45 means that my time that I go to bed has to push back some. It's difficult. That is a difficult change. If you typically go to bed at 10 o'clock all the time, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and now you're going to try to go to bed at 9 o'clock, you're not going to lay down and fall asleep right away. I can tell you that right now. I know I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm not quite sure I'm going to have to handle it. I may try to take an hour nap during the day. I might try to dial back my sleep a little bit, maybe half an hour. For those people who aren't getting 7 hours and they want to try to increase the length of their sleep, I would suggest that you only go back 15 minutes at a time. So if you typically go to bed at 11 and you know you need to get to bed at 10, if you go to bed at 10, again, you're not going to go to sleep right away. Start at 10:45. And as you become more successful going to sleep at 10:45, work your way back to 10:30, pardon me, and then 10:15 and all the way back to 10. So that's going to be a real challenge for me because my work schedule does change. And there are times where I need to get up earlier. So that will be a definite challenge for me at times during the year. And the final area, the fifth area, relationships. We know that social isolation and family relationships are one of the major factors in longevity, and how we deal with our friendships and our family relationships are very, very important. So this year, what I'm going to do is Both my daughters are no longer living at home. And Paige lives in Arlington, Virginia. She's been down there a few years now, and right now Brooke is living in Indianapolis. And there are times where I'll go more than a week, sometimes 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks before I really physically talk to them. We like to try to FaceTime, so there is a little bit more interaction there than just normal on a phone call. So 2 things I'm going to try to do in this relationship thing. Number one, I can't talk to them every day. It's very difficult. Their work schedules don't coincide with mine and things like that. But I will make sure that I reach out to them every day with an email or a text. I know that is not as good as actual interaction one-on-one with them, but it's better than not. So I will reach out to them daily. And then I'm going to make sure that weekly I'm on a FaceTime call with with each of them. So that's why I'm going to try to work on my relationship stuff. So there's the 5 things that I'm going to try to address. One thing in each area. So I'm going to review them. Exercise. 300 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, 150 minutes of intense exercise, and a combination of both, somewhere in that way. Lifting weights twice a week. Nutrition, 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. Hands down, no matter what. Stress, I'm going to take 5 minutes a day to calm myself, and I'm going to address stress differently. I'm going to address it as a challenge. Restoration, absolutely make sure I get 7 hours of sleep per night. Somehow, some way, even on those days I need to get up early. And relationships, get in touch with my daughters every single day, some way, some fashion, somehow, and make sure that I'm FaceTime with them once a week. Now, you may have some other areas that you want to try to talk about or address in your habits. You might want to try to address financial goals. You might want to try to address spiritual goals, whatever it might be. My suggestion would be to sit down, write out a plan, look at your week ahead to make sure that you're doing those things in that week every single day. What am I going to do on Monday? I'm going to go grocery shop, and I'm going to make sure that for every single meal that I have 5 to 7 servings of fruits or vegetables during each single day of the week. I'm going to take a look at the week and make sure that I have my exercise planned out wherever it's going to be. I want to make sure that I take care of getting hold of my daughters every single day early in the day to make sure I don't forget about that, miss that. I'll take that 5 minutes. I'll plan when that 5 minutes is going to occur to reduce my stress. Each thing, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to change, whatever that habit is, plan it out for that week. At the end of the week, show it to someone else, whoever who you're going to be accountable to, and go over with them. Say, you know what, this is what happened. I didn't get to bed early enough because I was watching some silly show. Next time, what are you going to do about it? We're going to do differently, Chris. We're going to tape it and watch it another time. It's not that important. My ultimate goal is that important to me, to be able to live longer and healthier, enjoy those years, than watching a show that can be taped and watched some other time, or not eating those fruits and vegetables. So your goals need to be very important to you for that to happen. Sit down, take the time to figure out what your goals, what do you want them to be, plan it out, be accountable for it, and good luck. I will check back with you on my particular habit changes at the beginning of February. I can't even remember what month it is. At the beginning of February, and I'll go from there. You're welcome to put your goals if you need any help with any goals, if you need any help with any habit changes, whether figuring out or how to make it accomplish it, get in contact with me. You can Facebook message me or give me a call at 860-673-4293. Email us at whatever it is, info.yesfitnessct@comcast.net. But track me down if you need some help. I hope everybody has a happy new year, and I'll see you in a week. Thanks for watching.